Guillaume Pilet, thank you very much for coming to this talk today, and thank you very much for accepting the invitation to this exhibition. When we started to conceptualize the exhibition Reset, I was very quickly thinking of your work, because what I've been following from your work, I've always seen that there is some connection to concrete art or constructivist concrete art. But there was also always something which did not completely fit in with the concrete art. So I stayed curious about it. And then when we started to work on this exhibition and your participation, you came up with this wonderful paper. You have reworked the manifest of concrete art, which was written in 1930 by Theo van Doesburg and others, signed by Theo van Doesburg and others. And you have, the first thing you did is you crossed out the manifest and you wrote PALIMPSESTE on top of it. And I really like this idea. So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about your context, where you come from, and how does the concrete art, how is it important?
This PALIMPSESTE is both a kind of joke, but also a serious working material to conceive this installation. Because I know that really I have things that I borrow from abstraction, geometry, modernism, and also more specifically concrete art. But I also know that what I do is very different in many ways. So I think in the construction and the visual, the purity of forms, I'm quite close to concrete art, but then they repelled sentimentalism or sensuality, which are elements that I think are very, very important. So when you invited me, you had this idea of performance, I think. And I thought it was very interesting because there's this body notion that is very important for me. And also the human scale and things like that. And I thought it was interesting through the body to give back the sensuality, also something that is maybe more primal in a way.
Mm-hmm. I think we come back to this, but we first need to explain to our spectators what it all contains, and we come back to this PALIMPSESTE manifest.
Yes.
So the first thing, when we just describe the setting, I usually refer to it as a setting, because at the moment we are in, it is a setting for a performance. And the setting consists of a wall painting, it consists of a flooring, it consists of pedestals, it consists of a video piece, and there's a painting, a curved canvas, which will be painted for this performance. So there's actually quite a lot of elements in it, and I find it completely interesting to see how these elements are already there, and somehow they reflect exactly where we are at this moment. It's like a waiting stage. Somehow like a stage in wait, or waiting for Godot, and we don't even know when we can open and when we can finish this painting, but it feels like that.
Yeah, and also after the performance, the visitors will not really know what happened. And I also like that there is a kind of gap between what I will conceive here, what will happen at a certain time, here without visitors, because it's a very special context, and what the visitors will discover afterwards, that will be a result of something also I will not totally be in charge of, because the big painting will be done after my instructions, but by someone else.
So someone else is a performer. You have hired a performer, and this performer is very interesting. He will have a body paint.
Yes.
This is something which I think in concrete art is amazing, in the context of concrete art, because you have a naked body, so you really have this physicality, what you have already mentioned also in relation to this manifesto. And then he will be on the pedestals, and he will start from the pedestals and go towards the canvas.
Well, actually, so I will paint him, so he will be my painting for the moment of the performance. so he will be like a kinetic painting or abstract painting, but of course human-size painting because it's really a body painted. And he will totally own the room here. He will use this pedestal also as a way to, it's like a staircase actually, so he can climb it and have a different perspective on the room. But there's also something very close to like antique theater, like this would be the stage and this would be like the stairs, I don't know how it's called.
Yeah, like where the audience in an amphitheater is sitting.
So I really wanted also this reference to like classic theater or like drama. And the wall painting also has this kinetic or cinematic element of a sequence that is repeated, and that could also make us think of a movement that is a painting.
You mean mostly this, the shaped, the curvy part of this wall painting, which has quite a movement element. And you have also done this by hand. So this was not a stencil or nothing really geometric, but really done by hand. Which I also find is a very nice also difference to these very clear shaped pedestals. But when you mention the amphitheater, it's like a cut through, it's like a momentum of an amphitheater, which I also like very much as a reference.
And I played also with a combination of the three primary colors for this stair that becomes kind of a minimal sculpture. And like primary colors are really a big thing in abstraction and well, in painting in general, but especially like in when you try to reduce painting to the very minimal elements, then you have like black, white, and the three primary colors. But here I made a declination that is really uncanny in a way that I don't know, it's a kind of vibrant combination that is not very beautiful at first, but still works. So for me, it's kind of the worst combination of declination of the primary colors. So.
Yeah, because it's not really the red we expect from primary colors and not the blue and the yellow, but it's sort of like a pastelized, like a different tonus of these three primary colors, which makes you look differently at it. I completely agree. And then there's also, because you've mentioned the size of the human body. And I really found it very interesting when you defined the height of the canvas. You actually refer to Le Corbusier modular. Yeah. And the modular is like a proportion figure, like I think Le Corbusier did it in the 20s.
Yeah, or later, I think it was during the Second World War when he couldn't build, so he really worked on something more theoretical. And
that's right. And do you know the height?
I guess it's 226.
226, yes.
So it's basically the height of male figure, like raising the hand, and it should give the height of ceiling. But funny enough, I'm not even like a good standard for like modern architecture. But I think himself was my size. So, and of course, it's very male scaled. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's male scaled, and he obviously referred to a kind of an idealistic model, male model, as a reflection of architecture, size and proportion. Yeah.
But I was obsessed with this book, The Modular, when I was traveling to Brazil, and because there is a very interesting modernist architecture there that is not exactly the same as European modernism. And I was really obsessed with the scale of the city in Sao Paulo and also the scale of human in all this. And that's in Sao Paulo that I had the idea to paint on the body to have a human scaled or human-sized picture. So.
And when we come back now, so the painted body, the performer, so you are painting the performer, which is a really nice painting, real on the human skin. And then the performer gets like a partitur, what is it, like a sketch, a scheme, what he then follows to paint the curved canvas.
Yes. He will have a kind of instruction booklet, and it's like a musical score. Actually, it's very precise, but still he can interpret in a way. I'm not really telling him exactly what to do, but more like actions, gestures, also using the body as a tool. For example, this is a kind of round
gesture for like painting around. Yeah.
I have to explain him really the mood of it, but then he really can interpret.
So there's also some chance moments in it and some free interpretation possibility. Yeah. And the colors he will use for this canvas are the same colors as the palettes? No.
There's a wider range of colors that I choose, so it's also how I can still interact with the paintings, just that I choose the colors, but then he will take care of applying the colors and.
But it will be very colorful.
I guess so. Yeah, and of course the floor will be stained and it's gonna get quite dirty, I think.
Excellent. So it's part of the work, part of the process. And I think this brings me to a good moment to talk about the video, because the video is extraordinary. It's really, it's so stunning. One really loves to look at it. And we talk about the video a little bit because I was so amazed to see that it's a chameleon. Yes. And we clearly, when we first looked at it, I was surprised by the way the chameleon colors itself. But then you told me that there was an intelligent trick behind it, which was like the green box, yes. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, like the green box allows you to be exchanged with all the colors possible. Yeah. And so the green part of the chameleon took on the same colors, yes. As you decided on. It's a computerized color, no?
Yeah, and then I have just all the color spectrums. Yeah. That goes maybe for 5 minutes, I don't know. So it's quite fast. You get all the colors, and the chameleon is of course changing colors, but all the background and the branch on which he's standing is also changing colors. So it's a kind of trick that worked very well, and it's also a reflection on the chameleon that is changing colors.
Mm-hmm. And then we are standing here in a kind of blue box, yes. And it was the same thing happens with the performer and the blue box than with the chameleon somehow and the green box.
Yeah, I could also apply the same tricks after the performance actually.
And this brings me again back to where we started, to the manifest PALIMPSESTE, because what I really liked is because, the Zurich concretists or the concretist artists, they were against taking anything on from nature. Like they really wanted to be completely opposed to nature, and they wanted that art creates from its own means. Yeah. And when you did your PALIMPSESTE here over the manifest of the concrete art, you actually included nature, sensuality, and sentimentality. Yes. Which I think is very, very nice. So you actually, in this palimpseste way, you corrected the manifest and saying you bring in sensuality, you bring in nature, you bring in the body into concrete art.
Yeah, I think nature is everything. I think we are nature in a way. Sentimentalism, for me, I have a very sentimental relationship to painting because my dad was a painter. So it's really part of me. And sensuality, for me, painting is nothing but sensuality. So I think even like concrete art is can be very sensual. So
I absolutely agree. Thank you very much, Guillaume. Thank you.